Welcome to What to Expect
when you're not expecting cancer.
My name is Christa, and I was diagnosed when I was 31 with ovarian cancer. My husband and I were thinking about having children. Kind of went for the checkup to make sure everything was good to go. The doctor found some fullness in my lower abdomen when I was doing like a regular, I went for a pap test and physical exam. That kind of sent me on an ultrasound. They found a cyst on one of my ovaries.
Okay.
After that, we monitored it. It got bigger. So they said, this is normal. Women have cysts often on their ovaries with their monthly cycle.
Yeah. So you were just saying the pain was normal. So
I had no symptoms. That was the scary part. It was like, oh, there's a cyst. I had noticed a bit of weight gain in my abdomen, but we had recently gone to an all-inclusive resort.
And you're married and happy.
right? You're off the market.
Yeah, and we had only been married about that time 6-9 months, so still pretty new, and so
fullness is it's a symptom that's not unique to ovarian cancer, right?
Yeah, so it was just, and I thought, okay, I have some good ab muscles down there or something, type of thing. I didn't think anything of it. So they said, okay, you have to get it surgically removed. Of course, I was scared because I'd never had surgery before. Right. Everything went well. Great. I mean, surgery's surgery. It's never fun.
Recovery.
Yeah. And I went back in, I think it was 6 weeks later for your post-op appointment. And I thought, okay, I have the papers to go back to work.
Yeah.
Here, doctor.
Back to life.
Yeah, go sign this.
And go try baby now.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, we were thinking about trying, right after that. That's what was kind of so devastating about it. But, so then the doctor was like, well, we ran into a complication. The cyst tested positive for cancer, and then after that, I never heard anything.
Yeah, you hear those words, and it's just like fog.
Yeah, I kind of picture a giant wall coming down, and it was like everyone's crying, and it was just, it was great in a way to have that support, but also,
one of the hardest days of your life.
One of those days that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Kind of just the pain you felt in the room, and you kind of feel guilty because you're putting your family through this. But I didn't do it on purpose, obviously, but it's, I think
a little bit of guilt comes in.
Yeah, I think a lot of women can relate to that.
Absolutely.
Where you do feel a little bit guilty for having cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't seem like much of a choice at all, because it's okay, either wait and hope for the best for this egg retrieval, but you could maybe let the cancer spread, and who knows?
Or the egg retrieval is unsuccessful,
and you waited, and in the meantime things spread, and you made things worse, and then I kept thinking, well, what if it ended up dying? You think the worst case, and I'm leaving my husband a widow, and then there's no baby, or it's just your mind goes to all those deep dark places. So it didn't seem like much of a choice.
How do you respond when people say, oh, but there's other ways, you could adopt, you could get a cat.
You could travel with all the money. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You don't need kids. Yeah. They're a pain in the butt.
I know.
So how do you get yourself through those things?
It's hard. Yeah, I won't sugarcoat that.
No.
And I think the adoption thing, it really grinds my gears when I hear that, because it's oh, well, just adopt.
There's so many children.
It's so easy to do that, and I don't think... I feel that adoption is more of a calling for people. That's my personal kind of opinion on that. And I don't feel like that's my calling right now. I'm all for people that want to adopt. It's just, I think that's another emotional roller coaster that I just don't think.
Because you could go through the whole process.
Yeah. So it's
not end up with a child. Yeah. Right? So there's other stresses through the adoption. So I understand that.
And at the end of the day, I really wanted to have our own baby. Yeah, when you go to social events, everyone asks, do you have children? And it's
or invited to another baby shower.
You say no, and then the conversation's kind of
awkward.
Yeah,
right?
You don't know what to start with next, and then they can't really relate, and then you feel bad because you're well, it just reminds you. So that's the hard thing, is there's little things that
triggers.
You go to weddings, and then you think okay, I'm never gonna walk my kid down the aisle, or things like that. And there's a lot of days I don't think about it, but pretty much every day.
I'm 37 years old. I'm from Toronto, and I'm an ovarian cancer survivor. Before I was diagnosed, I was going in for a surgery to have one of my ovaries removed because I had a large cyst on my ovary. Okay. They weren't sure if it was cancer, but they had a suspicion, so I was sent to Princess Margaret. We didn't really talk about fertility in the appointment leading up to the surgery because it was just supposed to be, we'll remove the one ovary, we'll do a biopsy, you have two, you guys still have time, you're still young, blah, 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 blah. In the morning, like going into the operating room, she just kind of mentioned like, okay, so, you know, she was going over the plan for surgery and she said, so if we find cancer, we're just going to do a full hysterectomy. And I was like, whoa.
Nobody said that to me before.
Yeah, like this is the first time
Yeah.
I heard like hysterectomy. And my husband was there and we're like at this point we were trying to get pregnant before I had the cyst and we were kind of working towards that. And it was like, oh, we'll take out this one ovary and then we'll get right back at it.
Yeah, no biggie.
Yeah, so I was like, no, like fertility is important to us, like we're trying to conceive. And she's like, oh, okay, no problem. She's like, if we find anything, we'll stop and, you know, we'll give you time and we'll talk about fertility preservation. You know, fast forward a few hours and I woke up from surgery to my husband crying over my bed, or not crying, but just being like really sympathetic, being like, okay, so they found cancer. And I was like,
so he had to give
he was the one who gave you the
he
news.
told me the news, and he had told the surgeon when they came out and told him. He was there with my mom and my dad, and he said like, I want to make sure I'm the first person to see her.
Wow, that's great that your oncology team let him as well, because it's a bomb going off in your life. It's a very sensitive thing, and somebody who is so important to you to be able to deliver that news in a way you could hear it and understand that you were supported at the same time.
Yeah. He was just, from his point of view, he was so worried that like I was gonna wake up and some nurse was gonna say it by accident or something, and he was just like, I need to be there when she wakes up. So I ended up getting thrust into like the IVF process like a day after a cancer diagnosis. So that was
fast.
That was really fast.
You're not even like, you haven't even processed this news that you have cancer, and
Yeah.
they're like, okay, let's put some hormones in you.
Yeah.
And
Almost harder than the cancer diagnosis was the loss of my fertility.
Yes. Absolutely.
Especially because of where we were at in our lives.
You had dreams, you had a projection in your head of where your life was going to be with your partner, and then all of a sudden it's taken away.
Yeah.
And you didn't even think that was a possibility of that being taken away.
No, and I got so angry after because I thought, you know, if I would have known that it might have been cancer more than everybody saying it's not, maybe I would have done the IVF process before when I had two ovaries and maybe would have been able to get more out of it.
Or advocate for yourself, but there's not a lot out there on infertility.
Yeah.
is your cancer hormone driven?
Well, it's ovarian, so it's it's a hormone related cancer.
So then there's that question of, even if you had done that earlier,
would that have increased the risk? And
would
that
it change the stage of your ovarian
and maybe
cancer?
it's not low grade anymore.
Yeah.
Your sister's having a baby and your best friend's having her third by accident.
Yeah.
And, you know, like everybody around you is just having all these babies and it's so easy and it's like, oh.
And these become triggers for you as well.
Big triggers.
You get an email or an announcement over Facebook even, and all of a sudden you can't stop crying.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're not happy for the person who's made the announcement, it just brings it all back.
Yeah, it totally. And I felt so guilty about feeling angry at people because I was like, it's not directed at them and I want to be a good friend and I want to be supportive. I'm like, but it's so hard for me to be around you and all your happiness around something that I'm just like grieving over.
Absolutely.
It's so hard to feel these extreme emotions simultaneously, where you feel this joy for somebody, but then you also have such pain or sorrow that you feel.
We ended up squeezing in 2 IVF cycles.
Good for you.
Because we had time and I just did them back to back. Unfortunately, the second one didn't yield any results.
Okay.
So we got a few embryos off of the first try, and we have, 3 frozen embryos that hopefully
That's exciting.
will lead to something. Just now I'm starting to get to a point where like I'm ready to like explore.
And even talk about it. It's hard to
even
talk about it. Even before cancer or during cancer or you don't have cancer, infertility is a very hard thing to talk about, and a lot of us don't talk about it. So what are your next steps for fertility, if you don't mind sharing?
So my next steps are like beginning the surrogacy process.
Oh, so you're going to be doing surrogacy.
Yeah. Well,
cool.
I had a
That's
full
exciting.
hysterectomy.
Okay.
So there's nothing left in there
Right.
to try to do it myself. So yeah, that's like a whole other scary thing because, like if you're a controlling person like I am, and you've already lost so much control already, and then giving over, even more control of something so major to
And
like a
special.
stranger.
And
And
special,
you know, and so that's the next step, and we're, you know, looking towards that, and we're going to see what that entails, but
well,
yeah.
it's exciting
It
too.
is exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting, and it's scary and nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
and I'm trying not to get too like hopes up about it, but
I
it's a hard thing to feel like you want to be positive,
Yes.
but you also don't want to be like, this is gonna happen.
You want to be a little guarded too.
Yeah.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.